What is good, YouTube? Kyle here from Wrestling with Fans. We are back for the start of, I guess, week 2 of WrestleMania week, the way it's going. Here to review night 2 of WrestleMania. And joining me, the one, the only, Rick. What is good, my friend?
What's up, buddy?
So, again, real quick at the start, let everybody know what you're doing and what you're all about. You can check out all of links. Rick's links are in the video description down below.
Yeah, we're very close to a relaunch for Game McNerdia on YouTube. Our Twitch channel's kind of been hanging out since we were setting up for some new videos and stuff. We got about 40 videos that we've been clipping and getting ready for launch. So we want to set everything up in a nice, clean order. So keep an eye out at GameMcNerdia.com, Game McNerdy on YouTube, and Game McNerdy on Twitch. Thank you.
All righty. So we are here. I'm just sharing to the Facebook page so that way people on the book can join in. Hopefully, you're tuning in on YouTube to check us out. But we're going to be talking night 2 of WrestleMania. We're also going to quickly chat at the very, very end Monday Night Raw, the Raw After Mania. And then I want to start off this show, Rick. Let's briefly get through it. Because we're really here to talk about WrestleMania, but after all the hype from WrestleMania died down last night and all the speculation of what's next started this morning, we get the big news. WWE has officially been sold.
Wow. Yeah.
Endeavor first released the news, and it was followed shortly thereafter by a press release that you can read over on corporate.wwe.com, their corporate website. We don't know a lot. There's not a lot of information. The only thing they really said is that, excuse me, Endeavor will own 51% of the WWE. The other 49% will be owned by WWE shareholders. And the board of directors will consist of 11 people, 6 from Endeavor and 5 from the WWE side. Endeavor is the parent company of the UFC. I'm not sure exactly when they purchased UFC, but they bought them from Zuffa a while back.
Mm-hmm.
And so now you have the biggest combat sports company and the biggest sports entertainment pro wrestling company under the same umbrella. Rick, what were your thoughts when you first saw the news earlier today?
Well, I'm curious, right? Because we just sold all of the back catalog, right? That's all with NBC now, with Peacock. So we're in kind of an interesting spot where it's sold going forward, and you know everything. Of course, everybody's freaking out. What are we going to do with pay-per-views? So I guess my initial thought is I'm really curious what they're going to do with content, right? I don't think ESPN has ever hid the fact that they like to stay as far away from pro wrestling as they can. So I am kind of curious at what direction it goes in and where everything is going to fit in, or whether they'll keep it its separate self. Because right now UFC is so tied in right now with ESPN and everything else that's going on in their pay-per-view partnerships and stuff. I don't think I'm going to go against the grain on this one. I don't think they're going to try to get them anywhere near each other right now.
It's going to be interesting. There's a lot of speculation about this and that. But there's nothing really to go on. There was just a press release. They touted that combined they're going to be a $21.1 billion company, and they estimate that 9.3 billion of that is coming from the WWE side. That's what they were evaluated at, as $9.3 billion,
Right.
which is roughly what Vince was looking to get out of it. There's no word on a sale, like the price, how much, anything like that. I'm sure there's still probably a lot of legal and corporate hoops to jump through before it is official, but they made the big announcement today. Sean Ross Sapp over at Frightful Select reported yesterday that the news could drop as early as today, and that's what we all woke up to with the WrestleMania hangover and the news of a sale. The CEO, I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I don't have the article pulled up. And Vince McMahon were out on CNBC earlier today talking about the deal. And if you have not seen the clips, I highly recommend searching it out. Vince McMahon, well, let's just say it looks like they botched his transformation surgery. He looks like a creepy uncle. It's bad, Rick. I'll send it to you directly so you can see it. But it's
He looks like a busted up Howard Hughes.
Oh, dude, it's creepy as hell. Creepy as hell. He's dyed his hair black. He has this little thin pencil mustache that's dyed black. His eyebrows are dyed black.
Oh my god. They
He
thawed Walt
looks,
Disney.
yeah, it's the stuff of nightmare fuel.
Oh,
It's the
that's
stuff of
horrifying.
nightmare fuel for
Yeah.
sure. So I'm pretty kind of creeped out about that, but there's really not a lot to report about today. So I mean, I guess we can only just give our initial thoughts of what we think of this.
Yeah.
And I mentioned something to you last night when I first saw it, that what worries me is they'll go the route of UFC, and they'll have all of the the main content, the back catalog on a streaming service, whether that be ESPN Plus or now a new separate streaming service for UFC and WWE. And then they'll use the UFC model where you still have to pay another $60, $70, $80 a month for their pay-per-view / premium live event. So there's not a lot of news, just a lot of speculation at this point.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to that, right? Even with the pay per view, even with moving sales and availabilities and everything, I'm sure some of that's got to come back in conversations to Fox and USA and everything. I mean, they're not going to like that. They're not going to like that. They're going to make everybody pay for the pay per views. I mean, their viewership is most likely going to take a hit when everybody has to pay $60 a month to see anything that are any payoff to the Raw and SmackDown.
Yeah, NBC and Fox might not even have a say in it because the TV rights deals come up at the end of next year. So negotiations for those are going to start later this year. So who knows if NBC Universal and USA will still host Raw? Who knows if Fox will still host SmackDown? They may go to a separate network. They may start their own network. Like, nobody really knows, and I've tried to avoid the internet as much as possible today because I just didn't want to see certain things.
Yeah.
And just all the speculation, people this, people that, and there was enough of that just from WrestleMania last night, the main event, which of course I know we've both got a lot to say about it. But the other news story that I want to share, and I haven't shared this with you yet, so you're hearing this for the first time for me. Sad news in the wrestling world, not one but two losses earlier today. I saw about 4 or 5 hours ago that Bushwhacker Butch Miller has passed away today. And then about 20 minutes ago, I signed on to Facebook, and I've not seen any official word or confirmation yet. But from what I'm seeing, superstar Billy Graham has also passed away later this afternoon. So I'm going to try to do a little research on that while we're talking to see if I can confirm or anybody's got any reports out about superstar Billy Graham. But Bushwhacker Luke posted to his Facebook about Bushwhacker Butch. So condolences to his family and friends and colleagues. Always entertaining were the Bushwhackers when I was a kid. And when I found out that they were like deathmatch wrestlers known as the Sheep Herders before becoming the Bushwhackers, I had a whole new level of respect for those guys. So sending our best to the Miller family in this terrible time. Rick, let's talk WrestleMania. Let's just dive into it now. So let's do like we did last night. We'll just run down the card in the order that it happened. We ended up getting a 7th match last night, if you want to call it that. But we kicked off WrestleMania proper. Brock Lesnar going 1-on-1 with Omos. The Beast picking up the win in 4 minutes and 55 seconds, excuse me. What did you think of this opener for WrestleMania?
I don't know. I had no expectation. We just all thought it was going to be terrible, right? It was going to be quick, and it was going to be Omos limited. Brock bumped for him as good as he possibly could. Omos looked good. I don't know what it was about him. I meant, like, physically. Obviously, he botched a good bit, and it didn't look like he was up to the task for tossing Brock around the way he was supposed to. A whole lot, but chokeslam looked good. And then Brock taking over and finishing it cleanly under 5 minutes. That was a great looking F5. Omos bumped. Amazing for that. So I'm going to say on Omos's effort alone, this was a surprisingly good match for what it was supposed to be. So I wasn't mad at it. I didn't hate it the way I thought it would. So
yeah, I rather enjoyed it. I mean, it wasn't going to be a Charlotte Rhea or the IC triple threat match that we're going to talk about here in a little bit. I mean, we weren't going to get that. Nobody, I think, was expecting that. And if you were going to be in for a bad time. The match is exactly what it needed to be.
Mm-hmm.
Omos dominated the first few minutes. Brock, feigning kind of injury, fought back, ended up hitting the F5 and picking up the win again in just under 5 minutes. I mean, it's a typical Brock match anymore. Like I said, it did what it needed to do. There's really nothing else you can say about it. I mean, it was perfectly good. Yeah. All right, anything else you want to chat about this one? Oh, it's predictions. Let me pull up the predictions because I need to catch up those. We both, I believe, said Brock on that one. I don't think either one of us.
And 2K picked Brock too. I think we all three were Brock.
Yeah, Mania predictions. Here he goes. Keep clicking on the wrong one. Yes, all three. We both picked Brock, and then 2K23 also had Brock Lesnar as well. So we were perfect on that one. Anything else you want to add for that?
No.
Moving right along, we're going to speed through a few of these, and then there's some that we're going to take a lot more time on.
Mm-hmm.
Up next was the Women's WrestleMania Showcase Fatal 4 Tag Team Match. Sonya Deville and Chelsea Green taking on Natalya and Shotzi, Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and the team of Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Ronda and Shayna picking up the win in 8 minutes and 25 seconds. And we all kind of had, I was having a little bit more fun with this because I actually picked this one right. But they were in the match for 30 seconds. Ronda and Shayna, that is, pronouns pal.
Mm-hmm.
So, the other three teams, I thought, did an excellent job. I thought they all worked hard. They all got an opportunity to shine. I particularly like Chelsea Green kind of playing the chicken shit Karen character. They all worked really hard, and then Shayna and Ronda come in at the end. Ronda putting the armbar on, picking up the win. There was not many happy people in the house after that match.
I think everybody took a cue from me.
Yeah.
For the most part, I enjoyed it. Liv and Raquel. Raquel was a monster. They booked her like it. So there was a lot of really good spots for her. Liv looked great as usual. Natty and Shotzi was fun, right? I kind of had a feeling coming in that everybody was going to feel like they were shoved together just to get them into WrestleMania. But, Natty and Shotzi together were pretty good. Surprisingly, Chelsea and Sonya look good together. They had similar kind of styles and speeds, and the way they were doing moves and stuff together looked really good. So they looked like three legit teams. They had some really great moments, some really great spots. Raquel the Monster, I thought she looked the best.
She's got the match world champion written all over. She's a beautiful woman. She's massive. She's muscular. She's strong in the ring.
Athletic.
She's got everything that you need to be, a superstar in the WWE, and I see nothing but great things for her.
Sure.
In the future. So all the teams look good. Shane and Ronda were basically spent the entirety of the match outside, come in and get the win there late at the end. It is what it is.
Call an audible next time. You guys got to learn from this. Last night is something that should absolutely tell you need to work out an audible system, because there were three big problems that really hurt some of your credibility with some of the stuff that was going on, and that was a big problem, number one. Now, maybe they should have won. Maybe I was hoping against hope that Liv and Raquel would win, but you gotta call that audible. If they're not going to be a part of the match, you can't let them win. Ronda's not supposed to be a chicken shit heel, but that's what it looks like now. You've absolutely murdered her credibility in WrestleMania. It's awful. Hate it. Hate it for everybody.
She'd been dealing with an arm injury for a while, so I'm guessing they still wanted to have her be involved, and as opposed to, again, like you said, calling an audible or having someone else jump in the match or whatever, they stayed with it and they let her pick up the win at the end and did absolutely nothing before. So
nothing for anyone.
Up until the last 45 seconds to a minute when Shane and Ronda got back in the match, I thought the match was good, but otherwise, the ending just sucked. And
the pacing was right with the men, right? They're both about 9 minutes.
Yeah.
They're both about 8.5.
8.5 minutes, 8:25 according to Wikipedia.
Yeah, almost exactly, man.
Yeah.
Two matches that were paced well. Everything went great. The three teams kept the pacing going without the help of the fourth, and yeah, I loved it. I loved it up until the ending. The ending
Yep.
ruined it all for me.
And just fun fact, the men's match the night before went 8 minutes and 30 seconds. The women went 8:25. So I mean, they were basically slotted at 8.5 minutes each, and they were both spot on. So
Yep.
pretty
Very
good there. The third match was the match that I was looking forward to the most. Oh, real quick predictions. I had Ronda and Shayna. You had Liv and Raquel, and 2K23 had Ronda and Shayna coming out on top as well. So just jump back for that. Match 3 was the triple threat match for the Intercontinental Championship. It goes 16 minutes and 40 seconds. Gunther is still your Intercontinental Champion, defeating Sheamus and Drew McIntyre. I've got a lot to say about this one, but I want to get your take, Rick. Start us off. What did you think of the triple threat here in the middle of night 2?
I don't have nearly as much to say as you do. I know you were really excited about it and really marked out for a lot of the match. So I had a little bit of a. I felt kind of bad for Sheamus. I think Sheamus was such a workhorse back and forth in a lot of this, and the near finishes and everything. They really made it look like Sheamus is going to be, Sheamus was possible to win this, but of course it went the way it should have gone, which I think is fine. But I wish Gunther was maybe somehow even more involved. I don't know. I felt like a lot of the match was Drew and Sheamus just beating the hell out of each other, and I would have liked to have seen Gunther get a little bit more of a dominance out of this. Being the IC title carrier and hopefully for a while to go. But yeah, I did love seeing Sheamus and Drew again as usual.
Yeah, they really were teasing Sheamus winning and finally completing that Grand Slam that he's been after for so long, getting the IC title. But I mean, this is what I love about pro wrestling is just three beefy men slapping meat, as Big E always likes to say. I would really love to see what these guys' bodies look like today after that match. The bruising and all that, because I guarantee you they are all hurting. Their chests all look like raw hamburger meat. Their backs were beaten. I mean, it was just a brutal, brutal match. I loved every single second of it. And again, it was, over 16 and a half minutes long, and it didn't feel like it was an almost 17-minute match. Several false finishes. It's a triple threat, so of course you're going to have probably more than average. And then I love the end where, Walter power bombs Sheamus on top of Drew, and then power bombs Drew, and then picks up the win. I thought it was really good. I got moves in on both guys. The chops and the kicks and the forearm smashes. It was a brutal, brutal match. I loved every second. Yep. To me, this was the best match of the night. Wrestling wise, it wasn't the best story, but it was the best wrestling match. I want to preface that because I think you probably know where I'm going with it, but I loved it. To me, it's up there with Charlotte and Rhea's best match of the weekend. It's like a 1A, 1B for me right now. That's how high I put that triple threat match for me. But we'll talk about some rankings.
You were excited about it. Yeah. I'm glad it lived up to your expectations. I am.
Yes, it was.
I'm happy about it.
Anything else you want to add to it before we move on?
I did enjoy it. I wouldn't put it on that level for the weekend. I think there was 3 or 4 matches I enjoyed more, but just because I'm not completely sold on Gunther yet, I think he's got a lot of story to tell, and I wish they would have booked him a little bit more dominant as opposed to letting Sheamus and Drew beat the hell out of each other for him to come in and steal the win and with a couple of power bombs at the end. So, but yeah, the next match actually I still liked better.
Yeah, this is another good one. It is the Raw Women's Championship match. Predictions for that one. We both had Gunther. 2K23 had Sheamus. So
yeah.
The next one is for the Raw Women's Championship. Asuka and Bianca Belair goes 16 minutes and 5 seconds. Bianca, the EST, is now 3-0 at WrestleMania in 3 title matches. Picking up the win against the Empress. I know you were raving about this match, so I'll let you lead off. What did you think of the ladies here on night 2?
First, let's go ahead. Let's start with the predictions this time. How were the predictions?
For the first time all weekend. I see. I knew where you're going with this. Up until this point, I was perfect on my predictions. I even had Ronda and Shane. I was perfect
through 3 pay-per-views.
This is my first L of the night in a long time where I picked Asuka. I thought it was the time for Asuka to dethrone Bianca. If not her, then who and when?
Yeah.
But my man, you got it right. You picked the EST. And 2K23 got it wrong. They had Asuka winning this
Sure
match
did,
as
yeah.
well. So
A little
now
bit of
that you've gotten that
vindication,
out
bro.
of the way, go ahead. Continue on, my friend.
I wanted that. I felt really good about this match. It was a lot of fun. Asuka kept Bianca at the level she usually wrestles at, which is nice. It was just like I talked about before. The thing I was really excited about this match for was the fact that Bianca, for a couple of matches that I've seen her in recently, has had to wrestle down to people who weren't as fast, weren't as strong, weren't as physically capable of carrying through a lot of the match. And it was really disappointing. Her and Bliss, and her in a few matches lately, and it made people forget just what a match with her and somebody at Asuka's caliber still looked like, and bringing Asuka out, and the match that they put together was pretty hard hitting, a lot of fun, very fast. Asuka was incredible as always, but yeah, it's I think it ended the right way, and I'm really happy for Bianca. I'm happy for Asuka, and that was a great match. That it was a great 15-minute match. It could have been longer. I just really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not upset Bianca won. I do love Bianca. I know Jen, my wife, she's a big Bianca Belair fan, but I went in thinking, in my head, I'm like, Bianca's just been dominant since WrestleMania last year. They could take now would be the perfect time because you have Asuka, who's been booked pretty strong, the new personality. I was thinking, I'm like, Asuka's gonna walk out with the championship. I ain't mad that Bianca won because they put on one hell of a match. And again, I say this all the time. Anytime I talk about Bianca Belair, she is pound for pound probably the strongest person pound for pound on the WWE roster.
Yeah.
Her strength is second to none. Her athletic ability is second to none. And she wowed me yet again. I mean, she never fails to disappoint when it comes to big time matches, and she delivered for the third WrestleMania in a row. Sad note though, I don't know if you heard this during the press conferences last night. The little girl during Bianca's entrance, it was like the dance troupe from Compton had come out. They all had the braids doing the Bianca dances.
Mm-hmm.
The girl that danced with Bianca before she walked down the ramp, it had been Triple H talked about this on the press conference last night that that poor young girl, her mother had passed away earlier in the day on Sunday. And even through
Oh,
all of that, she still came to WrestleMania and she still went on stage with her dance troupe and still performed, did an amazing job. So again, condolences to the little girl and her family.
yeah.
But kudos for such an amazing and gutsy performance in the face of everything going on earlier that day. So when I heard that, that broke my heart that this little girl had probably the saddest moment in her life, followed by arguably the happiest moment in her life later that evening. So
Yeah.
roller coaster of emotions for the youngin. So hopefully she keeps her head up during this. But I just figure I'd let everybody know that because not everybody watched the press conferences. I thought they were very good for both nights this
Yeah, I
weekend.
watched the first night and I didn't watch the second night, but yeah, that's it is kind of nice to that she was able to have that kind of moment after that day. But the intros, just that was two more 5-star intros on the
Yes.
for WrestleMania weekend. So
Yep.
I was excellent there.
Both the entrances were good. Real quick, if you're watching on YouTube, make sure if you're liking this stream, make sure you give it a big old fat thumbs up. Super click that subscribe button for more fun wrestling content. I got videos and streams coming the rest of this week. Is the way it's going. It's going to be a long couple weeks for all of us in the wrestling business. And of course, make sure you check out Game McNerdia on all social media. Links to all of Rick's stuff is down in the video description down below. Make sure you show them some love on YouTube and on Twitch. And check out the brand new GameMcNerdia.com when he relaunches that here very soon. All right, Rick, anything else for the women? Do you want to move along?
Ready to move along, man. It was good, and this is where things get a little sad for a while, I think.
Yeah, this is you had the Brock stuff, and the women was like, the match is okay, but the finish was bad. And the triple threat was great. The women was great.
Brought you all back
then
up.
we get Miz and Snoop come out to do another Miz Open challenge. This time it is answered by none other than the worst professional wrestler in the history of professional wrestling, Shane McMahon.
Oh, that's not his title.
Oh, I'm sorry. The worst working puncher in all of professional wrestling. Shane O'Mac came out, and Shane O'Mac was blown up before he even got to the ring. Like, he was panting, he was drenched in sweat.
What a bad idea.
Yeah, I mean, he did get a good reaction, and him and Miz get to go to start a match. He hits Miz with the worst punches in wrestling history, shoots him off the ropes, goes for a leapfrog, and when he lands, he blows out his quad. It has been confirmed that he tore his quad. So not only has Shane now have a torn quad, his dad Vince had 2 torn quads.
Duel, yeah.
And his brother-in-law Triple H also suffered from a torn quad. So torn quads run in that McMahon family for sure. So Steph, Linda, stay out of the wrestling ring if you possibly can, because you're due for a blown quad at some point. But kudos to the guys in the back. Contacted Ref Jesse, who was refereeing that match, and you could audibly hear. I rewatched. You could hear her tell Snoop, punch him, people's elbow. And that's exactly what happened. Snoop sucker punches the Miz, hits the most awkward people's elbow I've ever seen, and pins Miz 1, 2, 3. It technically lasted less than 2.5 minutes, but what did you think of this train wreck?
Horrible audible. The Miz now has a pinfall up to Snoop Dogg from 2 punches, and he fell on him.
I mean, I guess losing to Snoop Dogg is better than losing to Shane McMahon.
Well, I mean, he lost to a field goal kicker and George Kittle the night before, so that's that's just a really good group of people to really ruin Miz on WrestleMania weekend. I'm just really happy for Miz to be able to have 2 matches in the same weekend. That's just good stuff for him.
And no more than a decade ago, he was main eventing WrestleMania.
And some pretty decent in-ring work. I mean, he was good. He was great heel work. It was definitely worth watching. He's the kind of guy they need right now, that they could have in here mixing it up and making some of these matches more interesting. And, yeah, who cares?
Yeah, everybody calls Shinsuke the king of strong style, and everybody calls Miz the king of safe style. And if it works, he's had the longevity. He hasn't spent a lot of time hurt, so... I'm with you. I've always been a Miz fan, so I'm hoping that this is just kind of a for entertainment purposes only kind of deal, and then we get into letting the Miz do what he does best and put on entertaining matches.
Yeah, 2 big mistakes with bad audibles. They really need to work on that. That's two killers.
We're closing in. We're about 10 minutes for the start of the Raw after Mania. I'll throw this in. I have the full preview. I did find it. The first hour will be commercial free, so we're going to try to get this done right by around the top of the hour, so anybody watching the live can go check out Monday Night Raw, and because that's what we're going to do. I'll run down what we know for Raw coming up here in just a few minutes. So let's get through these last 2 matches. Up next was the Hell in a Cell, Edge defeating the Demon Finn Balor in 18 minutes and 10 seconds. And this is where Peacock really did it for me. They froze during the entrances. They froze several times during the match.
Mm-hmm.
I was getting texts from the wife saying it was playing fine here at the house. So I don't know if it was all Peacocks or just some. But yeah, the Peacock is just horrible. This is where it kind of like just did it for me after the weekend, dealing with streaming issues. But let's talk about the entrances. We get the Brood Edge. Mm-hmm. The only thing brutish about Edge's entrance was he came up through fire. There was no Edge music. He came out to Slayer before Metalingus played. He had this weird, I don't even know what you call it, diamond looking mask on. He looked cool. The Slayer song was cool, but it wasn't quite any brutish. And then for the Demon, first time we've seen the Demon in like 4 or 5 years, his entrance was basically 2 little wands that spit out purple smoke. Not impressed at all. What did you think of the entrances between these 2 guys?
Edges started awesome until he took the silver stuff off. Then we were just normal. So that's fine. It was a pretty neat 30 seconds. Demon was just not interesting. So that's fine. It was normal Demon stuff. Yep. Smoke things were weird. And then they even put him in slow motion, which made it even worse. So
yeah. And he's literally just, it's almost like he's at a rave. He's just kind of doing this weird going back and forth. And I'm like, that's fucking lame. I get there's a
It's not.
long, huge ramp that they're kind of probably limited on what they can do with an actual demon entrance, but they could have done better. They should have done better.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all I really got to say about the entrance. What did you think of the match itself?
In the interest of saving time, because honestly, I don't think I even have that much to say about it. I think the match was fine for the most part. I think the cage was kind of hindering. They really didn't need it because it just turned into a TLC match inside of the cage with some kendo sticks. They could have just done that or just done a hardcore match. Do what?
Color coded.
Color coded and color coded tables and chairs. It just.
Yep. It was. Yeah. I mean, Finn did get busted open with the ladder, and apparently, after listening to the press conference, he received a couple staples in his forehead while in the ring. Like they had to wipe the paint away and then staple his forehead back together in the middle of the fucking match. So, kudos to Finn and the medical staff there for calling a quick audible and getting him back in the match. And Edge didn't have to do, they kind of had to stall a little bit, but this match to me was just one of these.
Yeah.
I'm doing the jerk off motion for anybody that listens to the audio version. That's all. It was a lot of hype and no sustenance.
Right.
I wasn't a fan of it. I just hope that we just get to move on from this and just move on. Speaking of moving on, are you ready to move on?
Yeah. Let's hit the last one. Let's go.
Yep. Let's catch up on the the predictions for that match. You had the Demon, I had Edge, so I got back on the winning track for that one.
Mm-hmm.
And then 2K23 also predicted Edge. And the predictions for this match, 2K23 was wrong, I was wrong, and you were wrong. Because still, you're reigning and defending undisputed WWE champion. Acknowledge him. Acknowledge me. Roman Reigns is still the champ. This was another match that had two really good entrances. Mm-hmm. Cody's the woe in Kingdom was just deafening. Mm-hmm. It ended up playing through the song twice. He came down behind the announcers. You had Brandy, you had their daughter. And I didn't notice this at first. I kind of had this thought because this is about where I passed out last night. That was -1. That was Brody Jr.
Yeah, it was
sitting there.
Yeah, they did. They put it on the announcement too. Yeah, they said it.
Oh, did they? I wasn't paying that much attention to it.
They said Brody.
Yeah, -1 making an appearance at WrestleMania last night, getting the belt from Cody, and then Roman's entrance. I should have timed it, but it felt like it took forever. I had the piano players coming out. I thought they were going to go into like the Godfather theme, and then his music comes. He has the long walk to the ring. What did you think of the two entrances from these guys?
They were great. They were fine. We had a lot of time to kill. It seemed like none of them, like they had 3 or 4 matches that didn't go the way they were supposed to, right? The women's tag match was probably 5 minutes too short from where they wanted to be with some Ronda and Shayna stuff there at the end. And then we missed out on probably some, the Snoop Dogg and Miz stuff. So we probably missed 5-10 minutes there. So now at this point, we're 20 minutes early, right? Because the Edge and Demon's timeline gets all mixed up. Yep. So yeah, they probably had to kill 10-15 extra minutes with their intros. So
I expected it to go long anyway.
Yeah.
The match itself went 34 minutes and 25 seconds. And that match actually kind of felt long. I mean, luckily I watched it. I kind of was falling asleep at the beginning, and then I woke up at the very end just to see the finish, but I actually had to watch the actual full match in its entirety today. And to me, this was the best storytelling in the ring. I want to say it wasn't the best wrestling, because I think the Charlotte Rhea and then the IC match were the best 2 wrestling matches. This match and the main event from night 1 were just absolutely stellar storytelling. They just beat the crap out of each other. They told a great story. They didn't rush. They took their time, and they just kept building and building to this crescendo finish that a lot of people aren't happy about. But I said in our previous show, I was rooting for Cody. I wanted Cody to win, but I was not going to be surprised. I made an argument that Roman should win, and he is still our tribal chief. Rick, what did you think of the actual match itself?
I'm going to counterpoint a lot of it. I'm going to say I didn't like the match nearly at all. So we were all arguing what's the next steps and looking ahead and where we're going to go from here. And what we got was exactly what we get from Roman Reigns matches, right? We keep saying Tribal Chief, acknowledge him, all the fun stuff. But at the end of the day, a lot of these matches go the same way with a lot of outside interference and somebody else winning the match for him. And that's what we had once again at WrestleMania. Solo wins the match over Cody Rhodes for Roman Reigns. And then here we are. It's the same match. It's the same match we've been seeing for years, right? So we actually thought this is where things can change. This is where things can get different. This is where we move forward. This is where bloodline changes. This is where things are going to be different. And we got exactly blueprint wise, we got exactly what we've been getting.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I get it. I know there's a lot of differing opinions on the match, and there's just like here in this situation, you either really like the match or you really didn't like the match, and there's no wrong answer because I mean, wrestling is the best thing in the world because everything's subjective. What you like, I don't. What I don't, you do,
yeah.
And that's great. Like you can get anything you want out of this stuff, and I was kind of at first, my initial thought was kind of like yours, and then I'm like, you know what? No, for the first time in a while, I'm going to let this play out. And then when I watched the press conference from last night, Triple H said, the story never ends.
Mm-hmm.
Someone had asked him about why this finish was done. And again, if you believe the rumor and innuendo on the internet, this decision was made weeks ago. Roman was slated to win as of 2 weeks ago. The full layout of the match didn't take place until Sunday, but they have penciled Roman in to win. So they knew where they were going. So when I heard that, the first thing I thought was like, you know what? They have a plan. And for so long, WWE was the fans wanted that instant gratification. They wanted that instant gratification. But for 3 years, we've been given this slow burn of a storyline. And everybody wanted that instant gratification last night. But apparently it's Roman said in his interview at the press conference, they're in the third inning. If you're all talking about a baseball game, this is the third inning of a 9-inning game. So I'm like, I will excuse me, I'll give it some time. I may look back in a month and a half, 2 months and be like, I was wrong. That sucked. That was pointless. So there's a chance I could eat crow on this, and if I have to, I'll gladly do it. Mm-hmm. And what is up, Rashad Evans joining in the chat? What is good, my friend? Thanks for joining over on YouTube. So yeah, I think I'm really curious where the story goes next, and we're gonna find out some stuff tonight because it is 8:00. So I want to wrap up here really quick in the next 5 minutes. I want to be out of here in 5 minutes, Rick. So let's wrap this up. Overall, what grade would you give night 2? We both gave night 1 A's. What would you give night 2?
C-. It was really disappointing.
I go a C in the middle. I go a dead C in the middle. It had the potential to be a better night, and it just did not deliver. It didn't deliver.
At the end of the night, like Lesnar and Omos pretty much was the only thing that delivered exactly what you were expecting to get out of it. Belair and Asuka was a great match. The IC title match was a great match, right? So we got 2 great matches, 1 pretty decent match, and then we got another decent match with a just horrible finish, just bad idea people. Snoop Dogg, and that was just a terrible idea. Edge, that's a terrible idea. And then to just run back where Roman Reigns once again at this point, Solo actually literally wins the match for him. It's terrible. And I'm one that didn't want Cody to win. So when it came down to it, I got really excited because I thought Roman was going to win, but then so much interference and so much Solo and so much, it's like, I mean, what's even the point anymore? I mean, if Solo is going to win matches for him, if that's where we are in this story, is that Roman can't win by himself, that's the narrative you're starting to go with, is that Roman just can't win. He can't win big matches by himself anymore. And that's a weird place to be here. And I don't like that at all. I'm fine with Solo interfering, maybe getting a shot in and then going away and then Roman overcoming in the end. But it's just a bad place to be right now with the Tribal Chief. It's just terrible. I don't like it.
It was there's a lot of things I think that they need to course correct on. Before I get into the Raw preview, let me just say Amanda Huber, the widow of Brody Lee, tweeted this out last night. I am legitimately crying. The way he looks at him, the way they look at each other, words can't express how special Cody Rhodes is to us. He made Brody safe on the worst day of his life. I can never repay his love or friendship. Hashtag finish the story. Hashtag WrestleMania. So nice tweet sent out from Mrs. Huber about his son, Brody Jr. -1 in the front row getting the weight buff from Cody. Awesome moment. Real quick, because we're at 8:04, so we'll wrap up here in just a minute. Here's what we have on the slate for Raw tonight. Triple H is giving a major announcement. We're going to hear from Roman, Solo, and Paul Heyman. A top contenders tournament. There's a couple matches. Liv Morgan versus Dakota Kai versus Piper Niven. And then also in that same contenders tournament, Candice LeRae versus Raquel Rodriguez versus Io Sky. We're also getting Rey Mysterio versus Austin Theory. For the tag titles, fresh off the win, KO and Sammy are going to defend against the Street Profits, who won the showcase match. Bobby Lashley versus Mustafa Ali. We're going to hear from The Miz. We're going to hear from Seth freaking Rollins. We're going to hear from Rhea Ripley and Bianca Belair. And in a match I'm assuming will be the main event, Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa will be taking on Cody Rhodes and a mystery partner. So
yay!
Or a return to the company. I'm excited for that. Any predictions on who Cody's partner could be?
It doesn't matter.
No.
I'm saying it's probably gonna be a fun match. It's gonna be a fun.
I guarantee it's gonna be a fun match.
Yeah, I don't want to take away from the match, but I'm just, WrestleMania just left such a bad taste in my mouth. I've got to see Raw to really get readjusted after that. That's just from one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in a long time to just nonsense. Like it didn't even feel good.
I'll leave everybody with this. We'll end up because Triple H is coming out for his announcement. I got Raw up on my phone right now, so we'll hop off here to check this out. I saw the best analogy for WrestleMania. Night 1 is getting back with your ex. Night 2 is remembering why you broke up with them in the first place. If that does not sum up WrestleMania, I don't know what does.
Yeah.
I don't know any other way to express how WrestleMania is other than falling in love, getting back with your ex and then realizing why you broke up in the first place. That was WrestleMania 39, guys.
Yeah.
Rick, any final thoughts before we wrap up?
That's it, buddy. Let's go.
Awesome. Again, check out Game McNerdy. All their links are down in the video description down below. If you enjoyed this stream, make sure you give it a thumbs up. The audio show will drop later this week. I got to edit everything together both nights. Any news coming out on the sale of WWE, I will be reporting to on YouTube. And then, Rick, we're going to do this tomorrow and talk about Raw after Mania. You still go with that?
Let's do it.
Sounds good. We'll be back again tomorrow night around 7 p.m., guys, to talk about the Raw after Mania. Again, check out Rick. I guess you're on this side. Rick and Game McNerdia, all that stuff. Make sure you follow Wrestling with Fans on all the social media links, guys. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time right here on Wrestling with Fans.